So I'm kind of hoping you guys can hear me okay, because I'm right beside the beach and it is quite noisy. I'm in Rio. I'm here to see my coach Sunny, who competed at the Olympic Games. I think you probably heard me from Britain. I was so proud of him. And Arthur again has sent me off on holiday and said, could you please do some videos, because they're a lot more exciting than your kitchen table. So all right, I will. So one of the ones he wanted, and again it's what we've been asked by folks. So people email in, or they message in, or they Facebook in, and they're like, Suze, could you please do a video on this? So sure, okay. So forgive the shaky camera work, and I hope that you can hear me okay with the beach. This is Copacabana Beach, and I'm off to boxing later, and then I got diving, and I'm hoping to try and get some tickets for the beach volleyball, but this is Brazil, so everybody wants the beach volleyball. We'll see, we'll see. So one of the things we get asked is tenants. How do I prepare for tenants? I'll come away so that we can at least hear the beach. So how to prepare. If you've never had a tenant before, you're probably going to be nervous. I know that I was the very first time that I had a tenant. And so you want to really make sure you've got all your paperwork together first. For that, I would definitely suggest joining something like the National Landlord Association. I joined them at the beginning. I think I paid for a 5-year membership. Next time it comes up, I'm going to pay. Check. Treat for you guys. Sorry, that sounds terribly rude. I was actually interested in the music, but then I realised you probably enjoy the view. I paid for a 5-year membership. Next time my membership comes up, I'm definitely going to be paying for like a lifetime membership. Their legal help line is just so amazing that it's absolutely worth it. And actually, if you screen your tenants carefully, you're going to have very few problems in the first place anyway. So I would say join something like National Landlord Association, and then make sure you've got your paperwork in order and understand what really you need to do. So you want to have ASTs, assured short hold tenancies, and make sure that you've got the kind of legal agreements that are going to be acceptable in court. So get them from an association like the National Landlord Association, but also why don't you find out what other letting agents do as well. Make sure that yours are kind of commercially accurate in the same way that theirs are. So maybe you want to go into a few letting agencies and ask them to see, you know, if you're a landlord, ask to see a copy of their agreements. Then make sure you understand the stuff that's going to be really critical. So that's around the tenant protection and tenant deposit. Because I don't know if you've been aware, but if you don't insure the tenant deposit within 30 days exactly how you're supposed to, you will have some trouble with Section 21, which is the eviction process, and you can and will occasionally get sued by your tenant for anything up to 3 times your deposit. And we've had it twice. Yeah, twice we've had to pay out tenants 2 months' rent. Once because the tenant's boyfriend moved out, we changed the tenancy, unprotected their deposit, and forgot to reprotect it. So we had to pay them 2 months' rent, and they were troublemakers. And the other one was we insured the deposit 1 day after the time limit. So that was it. You know, we had to pay them 2 months' rent. Slightly annoying. So don't do that. So make sure you understand what you need to do around protecting the tenant deposit. And that is effectively, you need to insure their deposit within 30 days. And you've got 3 schemes that you can insure the deposit. And you need to serve them what's called the prescribed information. Now each of your schemes will tell you exactly what that is. Effectively, and it's kind of sensible, it's a leaflet explaining to the tenant how they can get their deposit back, and if they're upset or they disagree with your judgment in terms of the return of the deposit, how they can put in an appeal. So it kind of makes sense that they need to know how to appeal this stuff, and it's the landlord's responsibility to send them what's called the prescribed information. Then on top of that, you've got to make sure they've got a copy of the EPC, and then just think about the paperwork. What else do you need? You need to give them a signed copy of their contract, that you keep a copy, they keep a copy. You need to have an inspection and do a signed copy of the inspection. You keep a copy, they keep a copy. Really, really sensible to get dated photographs, print them out, you sign, they sign. Just really sensible. And then things like the ID check-in stuff. So make sure you've got their ID, their national insurance number, you've got a copy of the bank statement that they're going to be paying their rent from. And actually some tenant insurances don't cover you for things like marijuana if you haven't got a copy of the bank account they're going to pay their details from, their money from. So it's all kind of really sensible stuff. And then sit down with your tenants and say, right, let me tell you what I expect. let me hear what you expect, so that we've got a good working relationship from the beginning. We always tell them that we really want to give deposits back, but they've got to keep the property in a really good condition to get the property back, obviously. So that hopefully is reassuring to them, because there's always a worry if you're a tenant that you've got a rip-off landlord, and if you haven't got a rip-off landlord, then fabulous, you know you're on a good footing. And then finally, I would suggest, and we do this, that every single one of your tenancies should start on the 1st. And the reason for that is at 9:30 in the morning on the 1st of every month, I check my rents. It's quite easy. But if your rents are fiddling about all over the month, you're probably going to get lost on who owes what. So I think those are the simple things to think about before you check in a tenant. I'll do some more, if you can hear me, on Copacabana Beach. I'm just going to show you around. Look at this. Oh, look at this. Isn't that amazing? That's the rather famous Copacabana Palace. There we go. And over there, can you see that stadium there? There you are. That is the beach volleyball stadium. And then over here, that way, they were doing the men's and the women's 10K races, swimming. At one point, I was watching it, and the men had been swimming for an hour and 45 minutes, which is mental. So if you're watching this a couple of years hence thinking, right, Sue's great information, you know that I'm slightly out of date because it's 2016 and you'll be watching it later. Anyway, I hope that's helpful. Basics of what you need for checking a tenant in. See you soon. Bye.